Welcome back, everyone, to the Rainbow Six Analyst Desk here at the North American League. Tommy, Jacob with you as we go into our final map of the day. It's going to be Spacestation Gaming taking on TSM. And the weird thing is that with TSM doing so well this stage, you would think they'd be cruising coming into this one. Yeah. But they're coming off of that 3-7 loss to Dark Zero because Geometrics was not able to play. Had a bit of a health issue coming up. He's healthy today. He's in the lineup once again, but that loss for TSM really could not have come at a worse time, could it?
It genuinely couldn't have, and this is the time where I would call this the best rivalry that we've had in North America for quite some time, but it's being diminished because both teams are in such a desperate position right now. For TSM, you wouldn't think they're that far behind the curve. And to be fair, they're not. They're only in 6th place and they're only 2 points behind getting into top 4. For Spacestation, it is a much different story. If TSM were to get a win, then they get a 69% chance to actually qualify. Nice. And then for Spacestation, if they somehow lose and TSM gets that chance, they're down to just 2%.
Yeah. Yep. It's looking grim, you know, for Spacestation. If they get a regulation win, they still are going to have a 35% chance of making it through. It's 1-3. It's not the end of the world, right? And Spacestation, one of those teams that I think a lot of people were surprised to see not at the Charlotte Major. But, you know, it seems like a new era in NA. It seems like the best teams are shuffling a little bit right now. And, you know, maybe this is just kind of going to be the new normal here.
I mean, for like, I'd say a shuffle is usually only about 2 teams out of what we normally associate to be like a top 4 or top 5.
Extensive this time.
Yeah. This time it's way different. Yeah, I mean, we saw 2 teams get cycled out in Latin America because like W7M qualified, and then like Fury is always in the top mix, but NIP is not there, FaZe isn't there. Kind of the same thing in Europe, where we'll usually see like the same 2 teams qualify for events over and over again, like your BDS will, and then suddenly Heroic comes up, and now they're taking center stage. Same thing here, except we already had a shuffle, and that was when XSET came in. So are TSM and Sonics actually going to be able to come back and reclaim that glory, or does Parabellum qualify for Berlin?
I mean, we'll find out. Let's see what the tail of the tape has to say about our next series between Spacestation and TSM. Again, you know, like on paper, based on what we've seen in Stage 2 here, TSM would be the shoo-in for it. But at the same time, Spacestation, we know they've always got that chance to kind of bring things through. There's a lot of good players on that team, even though they haven't done as great this stage. And, you know, maybe you could say this year to a certain extent, although Stage 1 was close. But I feel like when it comes to predictions, people are probably going to lean towards TSM with Gio back in the lineup.
Yeah, I mean, TSM has always been a phenomenal team. I think they really like progress and are amazing in best of 3 environments and like, you know, international, because you can see they were really bad Stage 3 of last year, and then guess what? They win invite. They qualified. They win invite. So now we have 2 world champions playing each other, and you know, SSG won last stage on Oregon 8-6. Geo not being available last week, TSM lost. So I don't really see that as a big loss to TSM. But for them, you know, having gotten, they still see that as a loss. So, you know, we'll see what will happen. But I will say, hopefully this game, it won't be 2 ace mains fragging out.
I mean, I'm always down for the shootout. Like, they're fun rounds at least. You like to see something a little bit more strategic. But once in a while, TDM is a fun way to go, right? I mean, it's all I play in Rainbow Six. So it's, you know, so there is that. Here we go. Spacestation Gaming versus TSM FTX, 9th versus 6th ranking at the moment. But look at that. First in attack for SSG, 10th in defense.
Yeah.
This team is wild right now.
This was very interesting to discover. Obviously, Spacestation are, as of coming into this Playday, we're tied with the Sonics for who was the best attacking team, but technically they edge it out. But for them to be one of the best, most creative, most innovative teams on one side of the ball and fall as flat as they do on the opposite side is the kind of paradox we don't see from very many teams. Even though we've actually seen Dark Zero in a similar position where they're a very good defensive team, but on attack it doesn't qualify, it's not really been to this extent. It's like, why are you so good at half of it, but the other one doesn't seem like it's nearly caught up as much.
Right, it's like the dude who's like really good in fighting games, but he's only good from facing one direction. Like you turn him the other way and he can't get any of the moves to work. Yep, it's rough.
I'm sure that works in your world.
It does, it does.
I'm sure it does.
Playing a lot of that, yeah.
That's true.
But it remains to be seen if this is something that Spacestation can fix in the next 3 maps, right? Because if they're gonna go to the major, they gotta get this solved in a hurry, don't they?
Yeah, everything at this point is a must win, which funnily enough, is a term we haven't used very much for many of these games because we know it's always going to come down to the wire. But the time for Spacestation at this point is running out. And you're looking at a situation where if you were to lose this game like completely without any points back, your chance is practically nil because of how crazy the competition is in the top 4 currently. I'd say for SSG, guys like Bosco, Fultz, and Rampy, the core 3 have been the ones I've honestly kind of been the most disappointed in. I don't want to say they're relying on hot and cold flash plays, but it feels like he's been a massive contributor, and guys like Rampy and Fultz have kind of fallen off the mark a little bit, which is weird because this was the best entry duo in the world only like a year and a half ago, and it's a very similar composition, same coaching staff, same mentality, and yet we find ourselves here.
Yeah, I mean, it's always been an issue within, I think, the core itself. Not always, but I think whenever they made the pickup for Hein and then after Nade, I think the roles were changed a lot because at times, we saw Rampy being the best Buck main, best Sledge main, and then now he shares it with Han Cole, then he's on a different role, and then Fultz on a different role. So I feel like there's a lot of role issues, but I mean, their attacks are good. They're ranked #1, so I mean, I can't just say anything and then not have proof to back it up.
No,
you know what I mean?
It's totally true, and I think they've also been a team that's been very fluid and very accepting of attacker repick overall.
Yeah.
But you're still looking at a case where because stuff gets split up, now it's Skies on Sledge, Bosco is looking for ways to innovate as an IGL playing support. I'm not really concerned about those attacks, but what happens on the other side of the ball, to me, doesn't make sense. We credited Hot and Cold as being probably one of the smartest roamers this game has seen in a long time, back when he was in those initial stages of the NAO, when he was on this team after Dark Zero, and yet still, what's not working here?
Well, that's the question, right? I think part of it revolves around things that are outside of this team, too. Obviously, sports is never a static thing.
Nope.
Spacestation Gaming may be playing at that same level, but there are other teams in the league that are clearly improving at a rapid rate right now. And sometimes you can be good for a while, and then you just get left behind. Do you think that's maybe a situation here that Spacestation needs to think about? Are they being left behind in comparison to the rest of the league right now?
I think in defense-wise, I believe so, because I feel like, I mean, they're ranked 10th, so obviously they're having really bad defense setups and such like that. I think in this day and age, like with the attacker repick and such, like you're not subject to playing setups anymore. You're subject to playing zones instead of like playing this wall or this operator. You got to find out which operator you can play here to help benefit the team. And that's something a lot of teams, start to realize like later on. So I feel like they're getting the grasp, but I hope they get the grasp sooner than later, because a major is really on the line for them.
Absolutely. Well, on the other side is a team that is no stranger to majors. In fact, they won the 6th Invitational earlier this year. We're talking, of course, about TSM. Again, things were going swimmingly, I feel like, overall in stage #2. Last week was a bit of a misstep. Geometrics unable to play at short notice. Their coach Gotcha subbed in, and Jacob, to say the least, it did not go well.
They would much rather just forget that one ever existed, but here's the problem. That game is still for placement points in an ever-competitive league where even losing 1 point could be the difference between going to a foreign country to compete, which is the reason you play video games professionally, or not doing that and staying in Vegas again, which they don't want to do. And considering the pressure that's already on them, this team just signed a really big contract extension with TSM, and they want to perform. Luckily, they have. You want to know the hill they had to climb over the past couple of months? Not only did they have to really figure out attacker repick and the 3 new maps, which they kind of use stage 1 almost as a primer for how to play those, not only did they have to catch up with what the meta is, they had to exceed the meta in order to have a chance to beat some of these teams that are on a high pedestal, that got a lot of momentum back in stage 1 to even have a chance to compete. So not only did they have to come level with everybody else, they then had to go even further than that. They use stage 1 as a testing ground, and they're doing considerably better. Even if they're not like spectacular on either side, they still look like a far more complete package, and that their heart is actually in it. I hate that it took this long to get there, but they still did, and they're not that far off from actually qualifying for the major.
They took their SI break. Time to get serious. Stage 2 is kind of looking like that is that time. In your opinion, Tommy, do you think they have what it takes to make a deep run in Berlin?
Oh, 100%.
If they make it there?
100%. Even though this is going to be biased because Tommy's, TSM, fanboy, or his best friend's on TSM.
All right.
Listen, they put in a lot of work to get here. They went through a lot of issues from the moment they picked up Bolo till now. They had to go. They had so many hills and so many lows. it took them a while. Then bringing on Gotcha, it made it easier for them, obviously with his knowledge coming from EG and from a CL team and such. But I just got to talk about Achieve real quick. He's been an amazing person, amazing IGL. Even though he's -10, you got to respect that his entry's +6, so it's something to watch for.
Sure enough, got to keep putting up those numbers. They're trying to get to that point anyway. But let's find out where those numbers will be attempted to put up on. It's time to see the maps. That was smooth, wasn't it?
That was
there
great.
we go. No bank, no border.
No bank, no border.
All right, man. Battleground time. Spacestation continuing to ban Bank. Last time they played it was back last stage. Played Mirage, then tried to play it against Beast Coast and said, "Nah, let's not do that again." I want a neutral battleground here. I want a map that we've not seen and played very much this stage. There's not that many options for that. Something like a chalet or a club or a theme or something. But I definitely know SSG are not going to. Oh, sorry, TSM would not be the ones to play theme if that was the case. No cafe. You want to ban that against TSM every time. TSM have not been fans of skyscrapers. So.
TSM is a really good cafe team. Tell me about that. I was 14-0'd by them, so.
That'll happen.
Yeah.
Just tell me we're not going to theme park.
You still have Vietnam flashbacks?
Yeah, it's like you say cafe, I see my teammates screaming, running around.
Don't do it again.
Chalet. Oh, there we go.
Yep, nope, there's the theme ban. I think for Space Station, if they did that confident in a chalet, then I don't know.
Is this a 2018? Will we be able to go to a 2018 dub house by Space Station? Will we? I don't know.
It's made its way very far through so far. It's Villa, Oregon, or Club.
Oh.
Maybe in Oregon. Maybe.
In Oregon, I don't know. I think last time they played, SSG won, so I don't think TSM would do it.
True.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
Oh no, dude, this was the map. We saw
Dub House.
We saw TSM play this against the Sonics earlier, and that was where we called their attacking coordination impeccable. They looked like they were so synced, you couldn't break them apart if you physically got between them. They were radiating the kind of energy that meant that they were completely at one another's backs. But for Space Station, we call this Dub House because of Space Station. There are numerous examples of them taking this match in clutch moments or in big series, international competition, and this is just their playground.
Yep.
So for both teams, I feel like, hey, why don't we just slug it out for a couple for a couple more rounds and see what happens here?
I like it. I like it. It's a bit of a flex from both sides. TSM saying you can find me in the club, but let's see if we can find our casters and get their predictions for this final map of the day. Obviously, we have Intero and Jesse J. Chick sitting by, not standing by, sitting by comfortably to tell us what they think. TSM, Space Station, what do you think? Gentle Pat.
What do you think, Intero?
I think we're tied.
Oh, son.
Ooh.
I was in the lead literally all stage.
I'm 25%.
Sorry, which one of you picked OXG and which one of you picked Dark Zero last time?
Doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Listen,
I picked OG.
throughout the
I'm
day,
smarter than him.
throughout the day, I've had to predict without my typical analyst prep. I'm doing caster prep. I was
gonna say.
A lot different.
That
Doesn't
sounds
really
like an
entail
excuse.
Good. It's not an excuse. It's the truth.
I had to do caster prep. Okay. I know it doesn't sound like an excuse, but
Where's your giant laptop? I feel like you're missing that, and so you're
That's
missing
the
data,
thing. My
right?
laptop's gone. I don't have space on this desk for a laptop, so how am I supposed to make good predictions?
Parker, why did you pick him to fill in again?
they didn't really have options.
List was short.
Last resort.
Good to know. Well, what are the picks going to be? Is it TSM? Is it Space
I'll
Station?
go first.
Okay,
So that you
alright.
can copy my homework
I might.
in hopes of you getting a better grade than you've gotten so far today.
It's a
because-
reversal. Originally, it was Parker copying Jesse's
correct.
homework. That didn't happen. Now it might be the opposite.
Well, Jesse's a numbers guy, and so here's a number for
Fair enough.
you. 0, which is what you are through the last 2 matches on predicting correctly. So I'm going to say TSM for this one, and watch as you have no choice but to shamelessly copy me so that you can salvage a bad day.
Caster Jesse is
You were
at
trying to
0%.
bait me. You were trying to bait me so hard. Because you know that SSG is not the safe pick, and I've been going for the off picks all day long. No, if I'm wrong, I'm tanking you with me. TSM as well. We're
right.
going TSM.
Mutually assured destruction.
That's the idea.
All right. Well, does the T stand for Titanic? We'll find out.
It stands for
Probably
Thomas.
doesn't. I think it stands for team. Yeah, we'll use to anyway.
Thomas.
Either way, Thomas Solomid. There you go. I don't know.
Ladies.
We're going to check back in with our casters in a little bit for the game itself. But for now, Thomas Jacob, what's it going to be? What the prediction?
Thomas.
What the
Or-
prediction?
What the prediction?
It's TSM. Thomas Solomid. Simple.
Yeah, it's Thomas Solo mid. I'm pretty sure.
And you're trying to avoid this appearance of bias, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to avoid
now
it.
Your name is Tom Solomid.
Yeah,
All right.
You don't have
Thomas
to avoid anything. You could have been like full on the Mirage train from earlier, and everyone would have been like, "Yeah, Tommy, let's go." But no, I mean, I obviously TSM is the smart pick. Or sorry, TSM is the safe pick, but it also is the smart pick. The two of them are one and the same. That's what I was looking for.
You got there. All right, Tommy, what do you think?
Oh, 100% TSM. And the reason why,
Right.
is, I'm just telling you, it's just like they're ready. I think they want Berlin. I'm
Because
not.
Achieved paid him for this.
Come on, man.
Well, that sub money has to go to something.
I will say,
Listeners
these guys, their dinners are good. But I will say, Achieved and Geo, obviously Achieved needs to step it up. He's my boy, but you step it up in the kills department, especially on a map like Clubhouse when it comes to TDP a lot on downstairs. But I'm really expecting another big game from Geo because this is where. And infamously, if you guys saw the invite where he entered in through Church Wall and made it an amazing play to win and plant the bomb, I think he's going to do it here again. I think that's his room.
Yeah.
Church is his room.
I just remember that
right.
Sonics game and how good TSM were, and I'm not going to pick against them because of that.
Well, we got the TSM huddle up right there. They're getting serious. But let's find out what the coin has to say. It's going to be heads. Space Station, it's going to be tails. TSM. Do the flip. Oh, I had to reach for that one.
I don't want to see. I don't want to see.
between my fingers.
I don't want to see. I'm scared. I'm scared.
haven't
I'm
looked
scared.
at it.
I'm scared. I'm scared. I'm scared.
It says heads. Heads Space Station. The coin going for the counter pick.
Does this mean anything anymore? It's at 41%. It can't climb back.
Yes, it means something because it is a litmus. It is a benchmark. It is the literal coin flip, the force of chance versus our expert analysts and casters.
That's true. You
Yes.
have been saying that this
Ultimately,
entire
the results don't matter. It's a litmus test to judge everyone else by. That's what you keep in mind, including our fans out there, who of course have chosen on Twitter who they think is going to win. And obviously, as with any fan vote,
It's a
with the
Twitter
words
poll.
TSM, even when you ask if they're going to lose or not, it's TSM.
Yes, him.
That was the
When does Bolo play
greatest
again?
bait and switch ever. Was that Twitter?
Well done, well done.
When
That's
does Bolo play again?
Right now. Well, actually, just in a few minutes. We're going to check out the community poll first. What's the question? It is, which team will not make it to Berlin, Space Station or TSM?
You're doing it again. You're
Yikes.
doing it
That's
again.
right. They're going to try to catch them again. And I would love to see that happen because it's hilarious. TSM fans just clicking. Oh, I see TSM. I'll click that one. Ha, fools. Well, we're going to go to a quick break, and when we come back, we'll see if TSM can get themselves one step closer to Berlin or if Space Station Gaming will become resurgent here in the end of stage 2. Don't go anywhere. The NAL returns right after this.
A little bit better going into this stage compared to the last one. You know, we all got some time to kind of reset, kind of reevaluate how we are as a team, how we are individually. It's a good start, but we need to keep this momentum to be in major contention. I think one of the persistent issues that we had last stage was just like our executes. Our executes were kind of a little bit weak. The main thing is like countdowns. Any good player, any good team will really work on a countdown so that we're all on the same page. Because if you say go compared to an exact countdown, you can really get everybody kind of in sync together, and as you guys saw on the blue takes, it storms them throughout the stage. The weeks and weeks of games. Hopefully, we'll just keep ironing out and make the major.
All right, it's time for our very final matchup of the day. I'm Intero, and I am joined by Loser Boy. That is correct. Really? You are Loser Boy because you are 0-2 on your predictions so far today, and I am 2-0 in my predictions today, and therefore you are a loser.
This is how you treat a valued guest onto the casting desk.
You work on the analyst desk.
I can make fun of you
should be better. Those
Ooh,
are my glasses.
Look at me, look at me. Oh yeah, I've got a little tablet I can point things and draw things on instead of a cool big laptop from Predator. Ooh. That's what you sound like.
Production says you look like Tom Holland.
Yeah, that's an attractive man. That's a compliment.
I think that's a compliment. This is a bully-free zone, so while you might be a loser statistically, you're not a loser personally.
Thanks,
or
man.
emotionally.
Appreciate that.
You're a winner. We're all winners here. And we both picked TSM to win this matchup, so we will either both be winners or we will either both be losers. They go up against SSG in today's matchup, and both teams are fighting for their lives because they want to go to Berlin. Who doesn't? Have you actually ever been to Germany before?
I've had layovers in German airports. Does that count?
That absolutely does not count.
Then I've never been to Germany before. So,
I mean, it technically counts because you've technically been in Germany.
I don't count it either. I'll say that. I don't really count that in any way. But SSG definitely...
Just like how you didn't count the 2 matches that you lost today.
Those don't count. I didn't have my laptop for my analyst prep.
Oh,
this one doesn't count either. I hope production heard that because it's how they need to...
Production, you heard that. So this one doesn't count. So by the way, if TSM wins this match, he has already forfeited his points.
Hold up.
So he said this one doesn't count. So if TSM win, everybody gets points except for Jesse. It will be considered a loss.
I think SSG...
Production has agreed.
SSG doesn't... Listen.
Sunk yourself,
SSG is motivated because
they're in 9th place.
That's why they're motivated, Parker, because they have a long road ahead of them. They've got a very tough schedule to get out of their 9th place position and shoot for the major. Obviously, coming into today, there were a couple of teams that were like not looking great. They were in the 15 to 25% odds. SSG was one of them. Astralis was one of them. Parabellum was one of them. 2 of those teams have won so far today, PB and Astralis. They've boosted their odds. They're now in pretty decent positions. Not great, but they're like definitely still in the race. SSG, if they can beat out TSM, the world champions, then they will of course also join their fellow league mates in jumping up in the percentage points. It's a very tight race for the top right now.
If Spacestation gets all 3 points,
Correct.
They will have 11 points, which will tie them in 4th place in a 3-way tie between Parabellum, Astralis, and Space Station, which it becomes a mini league where you have to break down which team is actually the better team.
Well, it goes to round differential first.
And then...
It's a round differential first, and if round diff is also tied, which what's round diff looking like right now? SSG minus...
Don't say round diff like you're close friends with it.
What does that even mean?
It's like the kid down the street's name is Jeffrey, but you call him Jeff or Jeffy, and they're like, because we're close friends. It's like, yeah, round diffy.
I am close.
I'm an analyst. I deal in the round diff every day.
I literally am. This is not a mocking point. SSG -2 on round diff, Astralis +3, Parabellum +4. So it's tight on round differential
and
as well.
Depending on what happens in today's matchup, if it is a one-sided stomp, SSG can end up in a tie with one of those 2 teams based on the round differential itself. But obviously, we don't want to wade into that because you have no visual reference point as to what is going on. We will say this, though. things are starting to spread out in the NAL. As close as they were for a little bit, and teams were within 1 to 2 points of each other from 2nd all the way down to 9th, that is not the case anymore. And there are only 2 play days remaining, as we have harped on in every matchup that you and I have casted, at least so far today, and maybe Stokes and Blue did talk about it too. There comes a point where your fate is no longer in your hands.
Well, it's in their hands now. TSM instantly locking in a Maverick ban coming forward here. This is what they banned the last time they played this map. It was, where was it? For TSM, they played earlier this stage, so they managed to play it against the Sonics, and they managed to get the win there. Habana then coming in next from SSG, makes 2 hard breachers off of the board. Thatcher's still up, but on Clubhouse, it's actually like not that uncommon, and then Bandit gone. So Thatcher gonna be even more powerful. Now, typically Bandit is the operator that kind of counters Thatcher if you can Bandit trick effectively, but with Bandit up the board, Thatcher is gonna have no problem getting those walls open, but maybe they won't need to. There's no electricity in this game.
Yeah, the power has gone out, apparently, as there's no Bandit and there's no Kaid. So 2 hard breachers off the board, 2 wall denial operators also removed. So say goodbye, so long. This will make the walls a lot easier to open up. I don't even know if teams will want to bring a mute on some of these bomb sites. Mute obviously is a very high pick rate on most maps, sitting at a pretty respectable prevalency rate when it comes to the North American League, but do you want to bring him on certain club defenses? Is he a stable pick? He is, in fact, the 5th highest prevalency rate at the moment in the North American League with a pick rate of 58%. That is actually the 2nd highest pick rate after Smoke, who's at 60%. So do expect to see a mute likely upstairs on that gym and bedroom defense, and then of course as well extending over to CCTV and cache. Those are not going to be the bomb sites that round number 1 is fought on. Instead, on defense for the first 6 rounds, TSM will take us to the basement.
The 2 most popular defensive bans both getting through, Azami and Valkyrie. Azami, interesting on this map. I don't know if I've seen any great Azami positions, but there's always room for innovation. Valkyrie, very good here on Clubhouse. You see Merc rocking that operator start. This is an anchor setup, so they're not going to be like roaming like crazy, but they do have some top floor players. As I say that, never mind. It's not a drone denial setup, but it is a bit of a roam setup. Bolo on this top floor, and he's joined by Merc up around the main stairs as well. So they are trying to roam a little bit. They don't have a lot of that drone denial tools. So what SSG want to do here is they want to try to roam, drone out these roamers as fast as they can, and ideally catch them as they escape. And that's exactly what they tried to do for both Gio and Bolo. However, both get away as Bolo sneaks around the corner into blue.
It's a pretty good entry for Space Station to the map, as they've cleared utility, they've opened up some of the wall, and now they've flushed out these roamers back to the bomb site, banishing them from holding map control within 45 seconds. Good pace for SSG.
It's fast, but it's like most of the utility TSM are bringing is site utility, right? They're bringing a Maestro, they're bringing in a Rooney, they're bringing Smoke. A lot of the utility that TSM have brought to this defense is based around the site. The roam was kind of just extra, right? The roam was almost biting for a little bit more than they deserved. And the fact that they fell off really quickly doesn't lose them anything, but it just kind of resets us to a default game position. So SSG, not happy, not sad with that, I would say. They would have liked to pick up a couple of kills. That would have been a big advantage, punishing such an aggressive roam from TSM, but since TSM retreated so quickly, that's not going to happen. You see the power of the Valkyrie. Merc on that cam himself and can flank up these stairs. The drone will stop him, so he's going to fall back down, but in theory, if that Valk cam stays up, he could have more opportunities to get kills like that in the future.
Default Nitro cell at the bottom of that landing, leading from bar to the basement, blows up. Nothing wagered, nothing lost really there. Now hot and cold, potentially baiting out a C4 to see if another explosive will be used. You can tell quite a large diversity in that secondary gadget for TSM at the moment, as they've only got the 1 Nitro cell. So while SSG might not know this, we do, and we know that there's no real worry.
It's hard to catch this. They're going to use the utility to clear the Azami gate. The camera, of course, on Skies, but who's going to swing this? Once the wall gets opened, maybe. This wall being opened could actually be a big problem for Skies. If somebody swings out while he's on the camera, they'll know when he's not looking for this direction, and there he is Ooh, Toxic Babe just forces them back.
And first kill comes to Bolo. Bosco has an answer back inside of Moto, down by Achieved, who pulls out the sidearm for more, looking towards blue. TSM emerging from the first scrap in good shape. SSG answers back, and suddenly their guns are superior. Everybody from TSM gone except for Chala. In a 1v3 with an Alda in hand, an operator well suited for these clutch moments. As he makes his way back towards Church, the diffuser goes down to Hot and Cold, and it's Skies to stop Chala. It's one appreciation post versus the other. That's Spacestation, who comes out on top. First round is theirs, 1-0.
You're seeing the power of the Bandit and Kaid band. That wall getting opened up so quickly, right? They didn't bring the mute, as you talked about at the beginning of that round, which meant that that wall was very easy for Skies to open up. 3 Selma charges, and I was hoping that Valcam could maybe have some impact and stop, not necessarily stop the wall from being open, but turn it against the attackers, right? If they have that intel, maybe they go for some swings, they could take Skies down. But unfortunately, with the Toxic Babe coming out, it just kind of eliminated the potential for that, and then Bolo got in deep, managed to get a kill before getting traded out, open up the can of worms for SSG to start things off with that nice little trade from them. And then following that, the push was pretty clean. So it's going to be a good start from Space Station with both the Bandit and the Kaid taken off the board. I do wonder if this is going to turn to a relatively attacker-sided map.
Not sure. Good speculation to be had, as any could possibly. Azami finally emerges, and Mute, the operator that we talked about in round number 1, also pops up. Geo running with the British information and potential gadget denial operator. As we tend to see on this gym and bedroom bomb site, teams will extend outwards to cache and CCTV to hold those really crucial parts of the map, which denies the opportunity for attackers to easily pinch you. As you can see from this bomb site, that jacuzzi wall is the most crucial component for teams wanting to get into weight room and get a diffuser planted, unless they want to hop in the actual weight room window, which is usually significantly harder to do. Once teams can open up that jacuzzi wall, you as a defender have to rely more on that intermediary part of the map, which is construction. And if you've lost cache CCTV, there's pretty much nowhere for you to go. So the first step for Space Station is open up that CCTV wall that we talked about. That's been done, and they can continue to move in that direction and eventually try to pinch this TSM defense.
A lot of players over on this jacuzzi side. I do wonder if SSG are going to try to full clear cache. I don't think they will. Just based on current positions, they could switch things around and maybe throw Rampy in there late or something. It's Bosco for the opener onto Chala, however. So that's going to be the kill over in Memorial.
It's logistics.
Logistics? I'm not a caster. I don't have to know these things.
That's okay. We pulled you in reluctantly today. He owed me one. That's why he's here. And that's why you have to take my abuse on this broadcast as well. This is just perverse repayment.
I think it's bullying, but...
Hey, remember when you ordered a wrap from McDonald's with absolutely nothing in it?
Okay, I was in Quebec. It was all in French. I didn't know sans meant without. I thought it meant add. So I said sans everything in the wrap, and they delivered a... Like,
so instead of getting a wrap
tortilla
that you thought would have twice the amount of stuff, you got it with 0.
Well...
For a numbers guy, you would think that addition and subtraction are different things.
Hey, that's a language problem, not a numbers problem.
Okay. Halfway through the round, Space Station still got that first pick. They add to it again, Hot and Cold, taking out old Geonidas. Yes, he goes by a variety of different names, but it's Geo now, back on the bench after his medical issues prevented him from playing last week. Gotcha stepped in, and TSM did not have the best result. They're not having the best result through the first 2 rounds here either. Bosco's in weight room. Diffuser in hand, could easily go for a plant. Space Station right now, keeping the members of TSM out of the bomb site. Merc the only kill, the Nitro Cell to go out. Diffuser surrendered, will need to be retrieved as Merc gets back to the bomb site, or, never mind. Instead, still playing downstairs. Will SSG have a set of eyes on this? Yes, they will. Hot and Cold, a nasty shot. Even though Merc knew where he was, you might know where your fate lies, but fate still comes for you either way. Space Station are up 2-0.
So, I mean, you know, the Valkyrie deny from below worked out. Just nothing else really panned out in TSM's favor. They were spread across that top floor, as we saw. Of course, the one player in the north side of the map going down first, and another player isolated over in the east getting taken down. Not ideal to start things off. It was a 3v5, only 2 players on site. Cleaned up by Space Station. SSG, as the desk talked about, the strongest attacking team in the league right now. The highest attacking win rate sitting at 57%. And TSM, the second and lowest defending win rate in the league at 43. Only one team worse than TSM on defenses. It's SSG. When things switch up, maybe we'll see that punish them. But for now, SSG on the favored side, they're looking pretty good. I think the reason why Spacestation have been so good at attacks so far this stage is their creativity. I think they were one of the first teams to really start using attacker repick, you know, to their benefit, and they really started getting the most value out of it, whereas some other teams maybe took a little longer to heat up with it. And the attacks that Spacestation Gaming have brought out this stage have been really, really creative, some fast stuff going on, and I think they've done a great job so far adapting to this game, which has a really interesting set of bans you don't see very often.
No, I mean, you don't usually see two Hard Breacher bans followed up immediately by two of the Electricity boys being banned out, but it's exactly what happened now. You can reference the particular parts of Clubhouse. I know, once again, you love this. You don't need to take such a sigh, all right? Clubhouse has only been played one time
so its stats
so
are not
far,
really
so
relevant.
Correct. This is only the second time that this map is being brought out as of the start of today. And the win rate for the defense is quite grim. But again, it's just a single match.
Indeed.
Go back to the Charlotte Major if we really wanted to look at it. But for the defense, they've got work to be done based on matchup number 1. And just like that, Bolo starts things off. Down goes Rampy. First pick breaks in favor of TSM. First round, it was a trade. Both teams got a kill immediately. Second round, it was SSG to lead things off. Third round, it's TSM.
So this is the same setup that TSM were running the last time they were on Church, and last time, like, they didn't really bring any DD, they didn't bring much drone denial. They brought a little bit more achieved on the mute this time around, and it allowed them to get that kill onto Rampy. Not 100% sure on his positioning there, trying to walk into the lounge, just not really finding the angle from the top of red stairs. Ultimately, since this is, again, a bit of a site-focused setup, that one kill on the defenders, like focusing down Rampy, is a huge value pick. It means it's going to be even tougher from SSG, because now not only do they have a numbers disadvantage, but they've got to deal with Equalizing in the site. They've got to deal with Valkyrie cams around the site. There's Surya Gates, there's going to be Mute Jammers, there's ADSs, a lot of site utility from TSM. It's going to make it very difficult for Spacestation to have advantage during this push.
Before, there was a Nitro Cell burned a little bit early by TSM. They've still got 2 in their back pocket. 1 goes off. Just as I say that, that's Merc's expended. A second from Achieved is there too. Merc slaughtered from Hot and Cold from above. Not a single death to be had on Hot and Cold's side. That's a nice pick for him.
A bit greedy. I mean, again, you've got a good site utility.
Why is he greedy?
Well, because, like, you're already in a man advantage. I get you're a Valkyrie. What else are you going to do? But, like, you've got Evilize in the site. You've got a lot of utility there. I don't know. He dies.
Ooh, a Nitro Cell at the bottom of main stairs would be a 3-piece right now. Space Station instead just break into the bomb site. Look at that. They're in. They've got control. They're able to exclude the TSM players from any kind of conversation. Fultz picks up 2 kills. Sky's taken out by Geo, former teammates. Geo, a bit of a missed opportunity. Shaky aim and a sidearm out is all he'll be able to do. Nade goes in and down goes Achieved, leaving Geo in a 1v3. Diffuser almost planted, but Hot and Cold finds that first kill for his team, and then the last kill for his team. SSG, 3-0.
3 players walk down main stairs. They break in through the pulse spot through Ashwall. They manage to get into the Armory bomb site, and they're immediately greeted with a bulletproof camera. It's on. Their info's being
Did you call that
called out.
Ashwall, by the way?
Yeah.
You know, teams also call it Pulse Wall because that's where Pulse
I called
will
it
play.
pulse spot. Kind of, you know, it's got a lot of names.
It's got a lot of names. Continue onward.
They see a bulletproof camera. It's on. Their intel is all being called, yet it doesn't manage to line up any kills for TSM. You saw that swing from Geo, which sometimes that happens when you're rocking a DMR. You're just not going to hit those shots. You don't really have a lot of leeway when you don't have as many bullets that you could rapidly fire off. Ultimately, he misses those shots. A couple more swings coming through dirt and from around Armory that don't manage to pan out. The intel was there from TSM. They have a lot of advantages. If they just called that a little quicker, if they'd responded a little bit better, if they hadn't missed all their shots, maybe they could have stopped that push, and I think they definitely have the tools to do it with. But SSG, a smart little rush play, clearly catching them off guard, and it works out.
So timeout by TSM, and somewhat strategic, but also I bet motivational as Pojo walks behind them and gives them all fist bumps to keep their heads a little bit level. Finally, we see a cash CCTV defense. In terms of Clubhouse, we did not see that bar stage bomb site show up at all on the one play that we had on Clubhouse, but it did appear quite a lot at the Charlotte Major. And again, you might wonder, why do we keep hearkening back to the good old days of Charlotte, North Carolina? Well, that's because it was the last time that we saw international competition with the full breadth of the map pool that we can then take information off of, because there's only 9 play days for the North American League. And if we want a regional sample, then that's the best way to do it, because trying to pull stats from just APAC or LATAM or EU might not be as relevant.
Yep.
I mean, hell, 2 teams playing on Clubhouse with completely different bans and a completely different style of play might not even be particularly relevant either, but here we are. It's all we really have to go off of.
To add to your point of relevancy, that one game we saw in the NAL was Sonic's TSM, so there was at least a common team there.
So TSM still played off of it before. And to add to your point of relevancy, you fell off plus L plus ratio. So there you go. I like the Azami play already. Oh, no. Bolo gets back in. Nitro Cell gets put out by Rampy. I would have loved to hear Rampy's comms at that exact moment. Spacestation, if you were listening to me, release the tape, my friends. I want to hear what Rampy said when Bolo breaks out of secret window and slaughters Rampy. First kill goes to TSM.
Yeah, a big one on Rampy, certainly a frustrating one as well. We talk about the creativity of SSG's pushes, and the Candelas are getting prepped by Fault. We might be about to see that. He had it in his hand, he put it back away, so maybe not at this moment. He's going to be coming in through Jacuzzi, trying to clear out these roamers. Geo's over by the main stairs. Going to be a really annoying thorn in the side of SSG if they choose to push over in the construction side of things. That looks to be where most of their players are. Bosco's kind of on this north side of the map. Going to be rappelling up now as we see him hot and cold coming through the dirt as well. Their goal right now is to find Geo and clear him. Ideally, this won't take more than about 45 seconds, but if it takes more, it's okay. It's fine if they can get this kill. Maybe they just go into construction anyways, though.
Fultz also yet to die alongside Hot and Cold. It's a combined 9-0 between these two. Can't say the same for the players of TSM. As you can tell from the deaths, objective play has not exactly been the forte of TSM, or for SSG for that matter. Hot and Cold picks off Geo down below, 1 minute or thereabouts to go in round number 4, and SSG have answered back that early death. They still have the Ying on the board. They love this operator. They love the absolute chaos that a well-tossed Candela and Smoke can cause. TSM might be the unfortunate beneficiaries of a Ying push. Nades from below, Hot and Cold is another primed and ready, but none will go off and do any damage. Bolo still playing below. Suddenly, TSM take out Bosco, take out Hot and Cold. Fultz is the only one that is yet to die in this matchup. Sky's inside of construction. Beheading achieved. One playing panel at the top of red, another will join over in that direction. Here come the Candelas from Fultz. He could go for a plant, or Skies could go for a plant while Fultz covers, but they don't have information. In fact, the 2 TSM players look to have rotated, and I think SSG are looking in the wrong direction. Bullet Tracers get Sky's attention as one player from TSM heads up the stairs. There's the diffuser in hand, a 3v2 is to be had, but Bolo does Bolo things, and Chala takes out Skies. That's a role reversal from round number 1. Sky's taking out Chala. Chala takes out Skies. Long drawn affair, but finally TSM gets their first round.
A great response to the Candelas that came in through CCTV. We saw TSM playing very passive as those Candelas all came through, and they allowed SSG to gain position. Of course, it was a 2v3 push when those Candelas finally came through. We saw Skies pushing in through construction, and then jumping in the CC window was the Ying. They managed to get really good spots. They got inside of the site, but everybody on TSM backed up, waited for all 4 of those Candelas to go off, the blinding effects to wear off if it hit anybody, and then they moved back in. They started to push back as a unit, working together in what was really a retake of the cache bomb sites, and they managed to clutch it out successfully. Really nice way to handle that from SSG. I think Spacestation probably wanted to make that push work with a few more players alive. Then they could have spread out around the bomb site a little bit more. They could have pushed deeper to make it so that TSM wasn't as successful when they tried to fall back. But, of course, that's not how things fell down. Bolo getting a kill on the bottom floor, another one dying top, meant that they didn't have a lot of pieces to work with. Nice reaction from TSM to get their first round on the board.
Well, timeout worked, and back downstairs they will go. This bomb site, an experiment for TSM, played now a 3rd time, and both instances not really in their favor for very different reasons, but still, it's been quite lopsided by Spacestation, obviously. Spacestation have just looked sharper so far. You said on the desk, it was either last week or 2 weeks ago, that you no longer have confidence in Spacestation.
Yeah. I mean, they're starting to build it back. Again, this is attack. Fault's not really wanting to build that confidence. Eventually, Rampy goes down as well, so this might be the perfect round to illustrate why the roamers really, or the roam clearers is what it is, not having a lot of success against TSM, who have found 1 and 90% of a second kill.
Despite the fact that TSM trail on the actual score, They haven't in First Bloods. They've got 3 of the 5 so far. One was a trade, the other went for Space Station. So TSM get an early advantage, but it's all for naught. The advantage might have been squandered now as Chala's been down, finished off by Fultz. Bosco has Diffuser in hand. He's planting. By the way, Sky's covering. There's a flash that'll go out. Achieved a shotgun pump to Hot and Cold, but now the timer starts to run. And Skies and Bosco together will need to hold down the fort. It's not working out so well for them, and it's not working out at all. Geo comes back down the main stairs, and 2 players from SSG pulverized from it. That's 2 in a row from TSM. Based on the retake, Diffuser deftly handled, and it's Bolo to defuse.
When TSM played this bomb site against the Sonics earlier on in the NAL, they played it 4 times. They won it just once. This was not a successful bomb site for them. Against SSG, they were struggling as well, but round number 5, they switch up their strategy quite a bit. They're no longer running a bunch of site utility. They switch it to their own. They bring Oryx, they bring Vigils. They're bringing a lot of these really operators that can run around the map and have a huge impact. And SSG tried to take advantage of that by just hitting Armory quickly, getting that kit down. They did both of which, but the retake for the 2nd round in a row really favoring TSMs. Both times, they've not been afraid to let SSG into their bomb site. Both times, they've punished hard by coming back in, making sure that SSG pay for it by having better positioning and basically doing their own push against their own bomb site. It's been really nice to watch from TSM, and I don't know if this is what they talked about after round 3 when they started to bring things back, but clearly the adaptation to their strats has been working very, very well, and they're on path to make it a 3-3 split.
Suddenly, a much closer matchup on Clubhouse, which had a 25% defender win rate heading into today. What an abysmal showing.
Yeah, and that's mostly just TSM failing to defend against Sonics. That's all it is.
I was just doing it to get you mad, that's all, because you'd be like, well, actually, it's not.
I mean, it's kind of relevant here. I don't mind it in this because it was a TSM game. So we can at least look at TSM.
Be consistent in your outrage.
I'm consistent in that. Like, if the one game was like Parabellum versus, like, I don't know, Mirage, like, who cares? That doesn't really affect this game. Those stats don't mean. But it was TSM, so it's fine.
I'm sorry. I care about Parabellum and Mirage.
I mean, I do too, but I don't when I'm talking about
about
the stats of TSM's defenses.
Sure thing there,
Thanks, bud.
boy.
Thanks, bud.
Well, very final defense for TSM. Their stats overall looking quite good. Even if they do trail, Space Station had them on the ropes the first 3 rounds. Timeout seemingly worked, settling TSM down. And as they've been able to find a groove on this side, they're going to lose an opportunity to hang on to it, because they'll move on to attack next. Kiba barriers, reinforcements, and a whole host of bodies are what's currently holding this cache and CCTV portion of the map in favor of TSM. That's where SSG's first attempt to get to the bomb site will come from. They've already opened up the wall leading into CCTV, and with the right amount of drone work and a little bit of gumption, they can begin their assault towards the bomb site.
Cool zombie play. You just give up cash after a little bit, and you use a bunch of Kiba barriers to make it so it's like harder to push through and to clear through that side of the map. I like it. It is a fast retreat out of cash, but you can tell like they didn't really dedicate a lot of resources to it. Most of the resources are back towards the bomb site. They also have ops like Valkyrie and Oryx, who don't necessarily have a lot of on-the-map resources anyways. Valcams can be kind of hard to spot out, and Oryx just jumps. So, yeah, I like the setup so far from TSM. I like that they're falling off. SSG gained some ground, but it took them 1 minute and 50 seconds. They're still not even really pressuring the site. So I think TSM were in a great spot here, especially if Achieved or their Oryx want to flank.
We see the fabled levitating Miro window right now inside of logistics in the cubby. That looks into construction. SSG have used explosives to shake them off of that position and can now just continue around it. And that's because you see both the hard and soft destruction. Wary of what might be beneath them, there goes what is either a nitro cell or an impact. I believe there was a nitro from Bolo, and suddenly Chala's in a very powerful position, but SSG answers back, as does TSM. Bolo finds 2 suddenly. Space Station trail, but they equalize with Hot and Cold's beautiful shot. Merc stops it. And Sky's in a 1v2. He loses out on the Miro window, but manages to take out Geo, and he clutches onto Merc as well. Ice in the veins of SSG, and they deny an even 3-3 first half by knocking TSM off their stride on TSM's final defense. 4-2 for Space Station as they switch sides.
I'd written that round off, but Sky steals it for a Space Station. Man, he's been such a good pickup for Space Station since they brought him in a little while ago. Just slightly mistimed. You saw in the replay from TSM, they tried to peek him together. They tried to do the right thing, but the timing just a split second off, and Sky's punished that so beautifully well. He had a great half, 7-3 as we head into round number 7, matching the scoreline of Hot and Cold. Really nice from them. The other player that I was going to highlight until TSM lost that round was Big Bad Bolo, who ended up having a really bad stage 1. I think the biggest reason, or the biggest player that struggled last stage when TSM had their abysmal first stage of the NAL after SI. But been having a really good stage so far here in stage 2, and this game particularly has been probably his best so far.
The Bulldog,
That's
as
him.
they call them. We got 2 dogs in the league. We got the Bulldog and we got the Yog Dog. Because he sounds like a bulldog, and then Yog and dog just rhymes. That's how it works.
Yeah, works
What was
out.
it that Bolo's stats last stage remind me of this? He was either quite poor on attack or quite poor on defense. One of them he was terrible on.
I believe it was attack. He was really struggling. Maybe it was defense. No, I think it was
See,
defense.
so you don't have any of this information available.
Okay, I have
I'm
it.
not a caster. I don't know the names of these rooms. Okay, so pull up a stat for me. I don't know that either.
I'm getting you your stat. Give me 5 seconds.
Are you doing it on your Acer Predator laptop?
I am. Excel's loading because I have very complicated Excel sheets.
I'm sorry, you can't say the name of the program. Acer Predator pays us, not Excel.
Bolo had the worst defensive rating of any player in the league last stage. He had a .61 CGG rating on defense specifically. Was often dying when he was out on the roam. He was getting caught by a lot of clearers. He was trying to work with Merc, trying to work with Achieved, especially earlier on when they were trying to play these theme park setups. It just wasn't really finding very much success for him. So there you go, Parker. There's your stat. Sorry,
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Sorry I didn't have last stage pulled up immediately.
Took you a little while, but that's okay. We got there either way. A drone bug is why we are currently in a tech pause. TSM calling for it, so we must reset and then go in, as it's 4-2 in favor of Space Station for those of you that haven't been following along. For these teams, they are both on the outside of the Berlin Major bubble, and that's the one event upcoming that we will reference time and time again because it is the most pressing, I suppose you could say, event for these teams. Space Station enters the day in 9th place, 2 wins, 2 losses in overtime, 2 losses in regulation.
Yep.
That right there is good for 8 points. The only team below them is Mirage, but because of how tight the NAL has been, a win in regulation for Space Station would push them up to a 3-way tie in 4th place with Parabellum and Astralis. TSM started this match in 6th place with 10 points. A win for them would shoot them up to a tie with the Sonics in 2nd place. So, ultimately, still quite close for both of these teams.
For sure.
TSM would be firmly in the Berlin Major chase, and then Space Station would be on the bubble.
Space Station, this is a very important game for them, not only because it's so important to get those points on the board, but also because their schedule ahead is tough. They've got Oxygen tomorrow, who we just saw dominate Dark Zero. They're looking so good right now. And then they've got Astralis for the final Playday, who have had their stumbles, but I think of recent times, they've actually been looking quite good.
You did it again. You tried to trip up the TSM fans last week by saying, will TSM lose or whatever it was.
No, they did trip them up last week.
They did successfully trip them up. This time, not so much. Which team will not make it to Berlin? If you happen to be a TSM enjoyer and you can read, then these questions are not a problem for you. But so many fans seem to just see TSM and they can't resist clicking it, even when it means that your team is going to lose a poll.
Well, the North America's favorite team is rocking the newest operator in Rainbow Six, Bolo on the Sens.
Glad you brought that up.
Sens has been played 5 times so far in the NAL, and through those 5 games, they have acquired the lowest win rate of any attacking operator in the entire game. Just 1 round win makes 20%. Sens has not been successful so far in the NAL.
And it's been TSM who keep bringing Sens as well. We've seen Sens be played by TSM on 2 separate occasions. Now it's Bolo to take up the mantle instead of Merc. The first Sens play I think we saw was TSM on Bank, if I remember correctly.
SSG first, then TSM was second.
There you go. See, I am Happy to be corrected because you are the numbers guy. That said, the ROU device, which is the little roly-poly ole that's tossed out, has a mind of its own. We're not going to see it in action, by the way, because down goes Bolo, the very first casualty. It's a cleanup from Merc to at least keep things close. Very first defense starts off quickly as Chala's in the midst of the bomb site with Diffuser down. Here's the coverage. Can they recover in time? Suddenly, SSG are on the wrong side of the aggression from the attackers, and it leaves Skies again to clutch out. Diffuser not down though. It was close, but Merc silences Skies before anything can happen. The sky is indeed falling. TSM take their first attack.
So that's the second time we've seen Sens win a round in the NAL. The Sens didn't contribute at all, but that still counts for the stats. And
literally could have been any other operator. You could have played recruit there, and they still would have won the round.
With that nice little win, Sens is no longer statistically the worst operator in the NAL. So congratulations to Sens. Big dub. That push coming in from TSM, the idea of it was the Sens comes in through blue, right, with a couple of teammates, and then Bolo, was it Merc? It was Merc. Merc sneaks in through dirt on the Glaz and utilizes the fact that Glaz can see through that Sens wall to shut down a bunch of the players inside of Armory. Merc kind of had to work without the wall, but of course Merc still had his own smokes, and of course had that sniper rifle, which did claim the final kill in that round. So the idea of the push didn't really pan out, but still credit to TSM for being able to push all as a unit, get in there, kind of disrupt what SSG were trying to do on that setup, and win the round regardless.
All right. Upstairs to Gym Bedroom, we still have not seen the fabled fourth bomb site emerge. TSM has played Clubhouse both times that this map has been brought to the North American League, and we have not seen bar or stage show up once. That actually happens to be the part of the map that you're looking at on your screen right now. As you got the stock room, then the stage leading into the bar component, stretches all the way over to the billiards table, which is underneath jacuzzi and jacuzzi wall above it. So that said, we'll continue to ride with the three most reliable bomb sites. As we talked about when it was TSM on defense, you want to take control of CCTV and cache quite quickly, because once you open up jacuzzi wall over towards weight room and gym, it's very tough for the SSG players to find a safe place to play. They will very quickly lose out on the parts of the map that are friendly to theirs. If you can push them out of cache and CCTV, then you're in great shape.
A lot of weight on the shoulders of Fultz right now. He's either going to get out or he's going to die trying to take a fight. He gets out. And again, there's that Azami used to cover the escape from cache. Azami on this bomb site has proven to be really, really strong in getting players out of cache alive. You saw how they had to rotate to top red, and as soon as they lost red, boop, keep a barrier up. You no longer can get through that rotate, at least not without a sledgehammer or some form of destruction. And that's beautifully done.
You know, one thing that we didn't really talk about, how Spacestation didn't rely on a Finka for most of their executes.
They didn't. Right.
Finka was absent for Spacestation. Instead, they went with a more reliable, familiar composition prior to Finka being the staple that she is for these teams. In fact, Achieved running Finka is a bit of a rarity because of how little rounds we've actually seen her be used so far in Clubhouse.
Yeah, it was Rampy who was filling that role of the LMG player. Usually on the Zofia, it's hard to fit in both Finka and Zofia with these bans because SSG were running 2 hard breachers and a Thatcher most rounds, so it's really tough to fit a another LMG into that lineup. So they just had Rampy. Rampy, I believe, had 1 round on Finka. Didn't really pan out. So maybe just preferring the stuns of the Zofia, preferring the destruction either way. Not going to opt for that. Operator Achieved instead bringing through with the Finka. And Achieved has tried to flex a little bit more throughout this stage. And he's had pretty decent success. He's previously just been the sledge hard stuck, but this stage has really been widening his horizons.
Hard-pressed to find a better operator to kill on than a Finka. Fultz will take the heat to Merc. That's the first kill of the round, and it comes with 30 seconds to go. That jacuzzi wall still intact, so the challenge for TSM is to funnel through construction and get into the bomb site, and it isn't really working out so well. Beautiful double piece from Bosco as that Nitro Cell finds 2, leaving Achieved and Geo as the 2 men standing from TSM. Down goes Fultz, so TSM are keeping the numbers close. They've got more work to be done. Geo shrugging off a shotgun blast over towards the stairs. He's their last hope. Achieved is removed from the round, and with 7 seconds left, Geo's not able to get a single kill nor get the diffuser down. Skies again gets the exit kill for his team, and that will be it. The very first round that goes into the column of SSG on defense.
Sky's got the finisher, but I would argue Bosco was the MVP of that round for Spacestation. That C4 into logistics, I've heard it's called, was crucial. In
Oh, who told you that?
I think Jacob.
Somebody smart and handsome. I got
Jacob
it.
probably, yeah.
So not
I
smart and
agree.
handsome.
We saw the C4 go through into Logi and take down 2 of the 3
Just kidding,
players.
he's probably fuming at that. I'm kidding, Jacob.
No, we saw Jacob's a beautiful and smart man. That's why he's on the desk. But we saw the 3 players in Logi. 2 of them fell to that C4, and we've seen a lot of pushes throughout this game come from that side of the map. Not a lot of players choosing to push in through Jacuzzi, which is kind of where you see the other style of push onto Gym Bedroom come through. But a lot of these teams so far today have been favoring the Logi push instead. And so that C4 had the value. And we've talked about how important the mute is when both Kaid and a Bandit are banned out. Hasn't been like insane in stopping walls from being opened. Mute never really has that type of power, and I think the effect of the bans here with both Kaid and Bandit being taken to the board has really shown itself because walls have been opened up so quickly. You'll probably see it again this round with that CCTV wall being opened quite quickly. But yeah, it's nice that we see SSG bringing that operator a little bit, and who better than Bosco to rock the SMG-11.
Well, CCTV cache. I'm just at this point,
Uh-huh.
just praying for a bar stage defense.
It's not going to happen. That site's bad.
I will say this. The 5-3 score line is obviously close. It's not as close as it could be, but this has been a much closer matchup than you might think from these numbers. I've really liked some of the rounds from TSM. I've really liked some of the rounds from SSG. And the way that they have changed up the pace and the tempo, that was one thing that SSG, I thought, thrived in, was the chaos that they could cause by being very quick to get to the bomb site, but then also taking their time, isolating the TSM players, and then pulling off and execute. TSM tried that right away. First round, they were in the bomb site, lickety-split. A minute in, they're in the bomb site trying to get the diffuser down. SSG almost rebuffed it, didn't work out. But then the next round, TSM were a bit slower, maybe a bit too slow, but still, again, change up the tempo, try to control the pace of the game, don't let your opponent get too settled in.
Currently nobody actually in the bomb site. Skies changes that and Bosco does as well, as they both run in through construction. They were quite extended. There was a potential for maybe somebody running in like red or something, but TSM didn't have that intel, so it really wasn't a risk. I like that SSG were willing to spread themselves out throughout this map. They've got faults, of course, down in the basement. They've got a heavy construction, kind of master side extension as well. Then hot and cold, of course, over on rafters. They've pulled that construction pressure back, allowed Volo into their bomb site, or at least into construction, and now we're going to see TSM start to finally work on this execute.
I just want to say before we get into the cut and thrust of this round, if you play Valkyrie on this map and you are looking for great Valk spots with those black eye cams, that ceiling inside of construction is perfect for you to just put a cam in a position where they will never see, and it will have a very narrow view of where you're getting pushed from. It's a great spot. And speaking of construction, Bosco is being watched quite intently by numerous players from TSM as the bomb site is within their grasp. Just a couple steps away from being able to get the diffuser planted, shepherded in by Chala, but the rest of TSM will have to follow and cover effectively. The hop out from Fultz is about a second too late now as we hit the final 40 seconds. And they know he's down below. They've isolated him, but they can't do much. They just have to wait. That puts Geo on permanent flank watch. NA not as keen to flank as other regions, but still, it is Geo's attention somewhere else. The rest of his team will need to clean up the kills. You start with hot and cold, first to fall. TSM have all 5, SSG, still, Bosco and Fultz low on HP, Rampy down. Things are not looking good for Spacestation as Geo gets Fultz achieved, taking out Rampy, Chala in the midst of the bomb site, and it could be flawless unless Skies can stop this in its tracks. There goes a Nitro Cell, but it won't connect. Geo gets yet another. TSM keep this one close, and they win that round flawlessly.
Achieve's got to be playing the Finka more often. Merc was rocking the sledge that round, typically Achieve's favorite operator, and Achieve walks in through the breach and platform wall, gets the rafters player, swings in, gets a player at the top of red stairs, goes down red stairs, and gets another player who's about midway point on the red stairs. Really nicely done from Achieve to get 3 big kills as they're executing onto that bomb site. And you love to see it. Again, this is the flexibility that TSM have been playing around with this year. It's really been something that they've been working on. Achieve has talked in the past about about how he will initially pick Glaz, and then the fact that he's on kind of a bad operator, an operator that he's usually not actually wanting to play, it kind of forces him to remember to switch things up, to play a different operator, and to you know, bring something else onto the field. Because if he forgets to change his operator, if he doesn't change to something that he's more used to playing, well, then he's going to be stuck on Glaz. And maybe that's the play, but without an Azami on the board, or sorry, without a Sens on the board here for TSM, I think it's likely that a Chief switches off, and there he goes, picking up the Finka. So just what I asked for.
You called it correctly. Say, play more of that, please.
And there he goes.
Your prayers immediately answered. Again, I don't know if he can hear
Never
you
mind.
or not.
Never mind. Attacker repick baits us all. He goes back to the operator he always
You
plays.
lose it. What a bummer.
Oh well, it happens.
Anyway. Downstairs to church. Again, you said the bomb site was awful.
No, I said bar was
no
awful.
middle floor. I was just...
Oh, okay.
Let me finish before you jump in.
Usually you're trying to insult me, so I gotta, you know, I gotta be quick with that.
Oh my goodness. You're such a victim.
When you're on the cast, yeah.
That's it. You're a good Albertan. You're always the victim. That's how it works, isn't it?
Okay.
The rest of Canada's out to get me. You Torontonians.
That's a good point.
There's a Selma charge used on the CCTV wall. A nade from Rampy will answer it, and only a small window into that part of the map is accomplished by TSM as they lose one of their hard breach gadgets. TSM are in the building, though, so that's some progress that's been made. Still in the discovery phase, and they will determine the location of that Azami of Rampy that we talked about. Bolo almost gets baited into a kill inside of construction. There's a drone to go with him, but they will run headfirst into a mute jammer, and Bosco can still hold this spot. It's a pre-fire from Bolo. He doesn't often lose those, and he doesn't indeed. Again, TSM with the opening pick.
Opening pick has been really good for Rampy in particular on SSG. Of course, not the one engaged this time. Bosco usually more of an anchor. Bolo looking for a second. The Azami up here on Rafters is the player that's been in the most opening engagements for SSG. He's been the most successful as well. Not quite taking this gunfight just yet so far, though. Rampy 13-7 on entry, second highest in the league. Lots of those coming on attack. Ooh. Almost a kill and followed up by Achieve. False goes down, and there's another Merc finding a final, and it's 1v5. Parker, this is going to be tough.
This is going to be tough. Is absolutely correct. Another flawless round shaping up for TSM, unless Skies has something to say about this. He's been put in these unwinnable situations often because of the rules that he plays, but he does tend to excel in them. Both he and Bosco have so many clutches that you can never really count them out. I guess against maybe 5 players of TSM, the odds are in TSM's favor. We can put it that way. Skies gets a single kill, flawless denied. It's on to Bolo. That's the thanks that Bolo gets for the earlier entry. Another to be found. There it is. Ring around the rosy. Back into church. Sidearm out. Wary of what might be coming from behind him. There goes an exothermic charge. Skies has an idea that there one might be at the bottom of main stairs. A second will join, but Skies is looking at the ankles. He knows he's there. Good patience. Waiting for yet another, but he loses out to Chala. A great attempt from Skies, but TSM just could overpower you with the sheer volume of players they had left. TSM have lost their lead, and they burn their timeout now to try and keep things cool as TSM are gaining momentum.
All right, I get it's a 1v5, but TSM could have played that a lot better. They had 7 drones that had yet to be destroyed, a couple of them in dead players' pockets, but like, you have time on the clock, you have the resources to find Skies, and still felt like that entire clutch, they had no idea where Skies was. Skies was a ghost as he moved throughout that bottom floor, found 2 big kills with a shotgun. I love the way he used the soft destruction to be able to get a couple of kills into blue. It was almost a third main stairs, just not quite there. And we're in a tie game, 5-5 Spacestation TSM. How much better could it get? I'm excited, Parker. I think we're headed towards an overtime with both teams looking so good in their executes, with both teams looking, I think, solid in their defenses. I think particularly the Azami usage has been really cool to see from both squads on defense. This has been a fantastic game so far. I'm very pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, it really has been, and it hasn't been characterized by bad play or missteps. These teams have obviously made mistakes. Every team at this level is going to. It's not perfect Siege, but it's really entertaining, and it's like I said, the tempo and the pace that these teams have tried to establish leads each round to be different from the next. Their takes upstairs might look a little routine. Yeah, if you're taking gym and bedroom, you're going to want to open up that CCTV wall. Yeah, if you're taking CCTV and cash, you might want to open up the jacuzzi wall. That stuff's pretty similar. But the roams that we've seen from both of these teams have necessitated the attackers to enter in different ways. And they've taken gunfights and they've taken engagements in manners that are diverse enough to make every single round feel completely different. So I suspect that we're going to see that again. We've seen a couple rounds where the attackers have got into the bomb site very fast. Spacestation did it on their attack. TSM did it too. Originally, there was a blitz showing for TSM. I don't know if they were thinking maybe a rush strat, but they go with something a bit more reliable. Again, though, Finka has not been really all that impactful for either of these teams, and her pick rate so far through this matchup has been quite low, which is always an interesting thing to note.
I think it's just how Clubhouse works. Like, you need so many things on attack. You need Thatcher, you need Hard Breach, you need, I guess, Flores in this case for TSM. They're going to value it here, which is fair enough. You do need Sledge on the majority of bomb sites as well. So it's very tough for sure to fit a Finka in many times. This round will not be one where we find a Finka. It's a bit of a roam from SSG. They haven't brought a ton of drone denial. They do have Bosco in the mute, but mostly they've brought site utilities. Sky's on that alibi. It might be the only one who's really looking to run around and cause some havoc on the roam. He's actually fallen back to site already. Started on the top floor, but very quickly retreats back into Armory. So not going to be any engagements early on here. They're going to forfeit that top floor to TSM. They've got a Sledge up there who can start working on these floorboards. They've got a Flores as well who can start sending some drones downstairs and hopefully start working towards this execute.
Halfway point through the round coming up.
Yep.
TSM in that bar stage area. 2 hard breach to their name. They're 2 common hard breach and the only 2 that are available. We did see a bit of flirtation with that Sens coming in with the secondary hard breach gadget. Buck can bring it, Ying can bring it, but that's not really what either team wants at the moment. Instead, they're just going to go with the more reliable hard breachers, which does kind of limit your flexibility, frankly. Like, you could very easily bring a Buck or a Ying if you want to hit some of these bomb sites in a certain way with that can opener to get the hatches open. There's no Kaid. You don't need to use an exothermic charge to open up those hatches, what a secondary hard breach gadget will do.
In a 5-5 game, we're seeing SSG play very safe. They don't want to take these fights when they don't have to. We saw faults on the smoke at the top of those blue stairs, backed off, had Rampy to cover him on the retreat. They're all back in sight now. TSM are going to send 1 towards the main stairs. They've got a lot over by blue as well. Toxic Babes start to slow this down. Moto is opened up. There's many different angles they could go through as the wall starts to get opened.
And I mean, some of the Selma charges aren't as effective as they probably would have liked on TSM's side of things. Geo is not going to be too happy about that one. And he's choked out by the toxic gas at the bottom of main stairs. He's still got 1 Selma that's now been thrown out. Could we see Hot and Cold lose a little bit more of his protection? First kill goes to Space Station. They need to stop this bleeding because TSM has picked up momentum. And like that, they're picking up even more. Steamrolling Space Station. It's Skies again to clutch. How can he pull this off? Merc has been down. It's achieved, and Chala is the only 2 members up. And Chala's getting the diffuser down. Suddenly, he walks right in. Skies has such a good thing going, but achieved is a party pooper and spoils SSG's chance of doing anything right. Oh, what a heartbreaking round.
Maybe if you're SSG, TSM didn't look too heartbroken.
It's a heartbreaking round because I want a clutch. I just want it so bad. We haven't really seen it. I wanted to see a clutch. I don't care if it's TSM. I don't care if it's Space Station. Just give me a clutch.
I want to give a lot of credit to Merc in that round.
Give the credit to Merc.
Merc walked down blue alongside Bolo, and Bolo's the first one in. Bolo ends up dying in blue to a player around blue and Armory. Now, Merc is able to clean that one up, but there's another player in Armory really threatening Merc. Despite looking at that player and Merc getting that kill onto the player inside of Armory, Merc focuses in towards Church and gets a player that was trying to contest over towards Moto. Then he flicks back around and gets the trade. Gets downed himself, but also gets a kill onto the 3rd player that was challenging him over by blue. I thought it was a really, really smart play from Merc. Little risky because he could have gotten shot at any point in time from that guy in Armory, but the target focus from Merc works out for him. Ends up being 5-2 post-rehost, and really did find a ton of value for his team clutching up in the end there. And because of it, TSM guarantee themselves 1 point. Overtime, as you've said a couple of times, Parker, is not really good for anybody, which means Spacestation Gaming, 3 points off the table. This is a really bad scenario for them. They needed that round.
They absolutely did, and the fact that SSG's ceiling now is 2 points, I think they've got to be very cognizant of the fact that their chances of going to Europe, to Europe, as some of our European colleagues would have said back in the day, as unfortunately
Which colleagues?
dried up.
Which European colleagues?
I was thinking BK201 actually. He used to say
Okay.
He's from Germany.
It's a throwback. Fair.
He's still lurking.
We have the bomb
BK
site.
is always watching.
We have the bomb site that I don't like, and you do.
I know.
I think the site is bad. I think you just take the top floor. It's harder to hold than, like, say, if you're holding CCTV cache. And once the top floor is controlled, going in for a stock execute, it's harder than it was, but it's still relatively simple. There's also an angle if you want to take him through Strip Club. That's absolutely a viable take as well. Rampy, I think, on the Azami is going to be really crucial on this top floor. You see the Yokai drones from Faults helping him out.
Did he just see the drone go scooting?
That was the Yokai. That was the Yokai.
Oh, that was the Yokai.
Yeah, that's what
I
I'm
saw that
saying.
for a second. I was like, what the?
No,
I was like, are my eyes deceiving me? The answer is yes.
He's got the intel to help him out here and to make him survive as long as possible. I would say he needs to get a kill. If he doesn't waste a ton of time or get a kill or two, then it's going to be tough for SSG to continue to hold this top floor.
There's an alibi Prisma that's been thrown outside that will continue to show up, that TSM will see as an enemy has been detected, which means that it allows you to jump out a lot easier on because it will be revealed already due to that Prisma being out there. We've seen this a couple times. I think DZ was the first team that started using it. I want to say back on Border way back in the day, but I might be mistaken. Either way, just a little bit of a cheeky strategy. You have to be wary of that Strip Club jump out. That's what'll get you, and that's exactly where somebody from Space Station could strike. TSM now, well, the clutch master himself, who's been the last alive for Space Station time and time again, will not be in that position this time. Bosco, as well, a similar circumstance, but fate does not befall him well, and he's gone. TSM have an advantage. They've done an extensive amount of damage to Rampy. Adrenal Surge will keep everybody back up. Finka comes out when TSM needs it the most. No healing potential for Space Station. They still have those Yokais. Whereabouts unknown, though.
I said that we need to see Rampy get a kill. He did get one, equalizing from Hot and Cold.
Merc down for the count. So there goes the Finka, as we talked about. Yokai's still up. 30 seconds left. This is where those Yokais become particularly crucial. They can deny you a plant and knock your opponent off. You see the alibi of Hot and Cold still lurking. TSM, they need to go quickly because they've only got 15 seconds left. And Chala will drop onto the stage. He absorbs a ton of damage from Rampy, finds safe shelter, and will instead go for the defuse. Fultz running back up top. Is somebody from TSM positioned to greet them? There's Achieved for one. Fultz cannot be outmuscled. Bolo to the rescue. Hot and Cold in the midst of the site. They call him Fraud and Cold, but he's on the diffuser. And Achieved has been downed. So just like that, Hot can secure. Wow. What a re-entry for Space Station. We have our first match of overtime today.
You thought that was gonna go the way of TSM. It's never a good sign when an Echo is sprinting through the bomb site as a plant is going down. That means that all of his gadgets, all of his utility have been destroyed. He can't deny that kit with the Yokai drones. He got shut down pretty nicely, Faults did, but the big clutch coming through from Hot and Cold. And you said you wanted a clutch, Parker. You said you wanted to see somebody pop off.
I said I wanted the clutch. I said, you know what? That round really just gave me everything I wanted. I wanted a clutch. I didn't care which team it was. And I wanted a bar stage defense, and I got both of them at the same time.
And I wanted bar stage to lose, so we're both happy.
Well, I mean, I don't care if you're happy. That's actually a loss for me. But
well, I was trying to make a sweet moment.
Thanks, man. You know we get to do this again tomorrow.
Please no. Please no. Oh boy.
You can thank Nick for that one.
Thanks, Pengu. Please come back. I don't want to be here anymore. But actually I do, because it's been a really fun game so far. I think both SSG and TSM are showing each other a lot of respect. We see SSG playing pretty passive on their defenses, not wanting to take really aggressive, kind of risky fights on their roams, and TSM as well. When you watch that round, they were very slow to clear that top floor because they didn't want to just run in and get gunned down by Rampy. They were really respectful in the way they were clearing out Rampy and Bosco top floor. They managed to trade 1-for-1 top floor, and then of course that big kill on Disguise down in the basement was also quite helpful for advancing their numbers advantage. And that's what you want to see from two top teams. Even if these are not the squads that we are seeing currently currently in the top 4, currently close to being locked in for Berlin. These are still teams that have dominated North America for a very long time. They're still extremely competent squads, and they've got a lot of history behind them. So, of course, you're always going to see that respect.
I like that you mentioned that they've been paying respect to each other, because it is very common for one of these teams, or just any team rather, not SSG or TSM in particular, to just kind of let up in one round and not troll, but just not be as careful as you need to be. And I don't think either team has made any real boneheaded plays in this particular matchup. They have played at a very high level and have done so because they know that there's a lot on the line for them and for their adversary. So you gotta give props where props are due. We do tend to spend a lot of time dwelling on what went wrong, and I'm glad that both of these teams have highlighted what can go right in so many of these rounds, and it's been nice to be able to pick up on that.
Once again, we're seeing the exact same gym hold with the cache extension utilized with the Izami. Hot and Cold playing this operator right now, and I just think it's so good. These angles he's created onto the breach, it's very effective. Achieved, however, has a crossfire. If he tries to retreat back into construction, Achieved, in theory, should catch it. Nade goes through, doesn't land. There's a Wamai in there, so those nades unlikely to find anything. With the wall being breached open, they have the opportunity to maybe get a good angle. Hot runs back, and again, it's the Izami barricades. These are being so effective to cover the retreats of these roamers who are playing instead of cache, delay that time, throw it on rotate, throw it on walls, throw it on doorways. It doesn't matter. It's going to slow down the defenders and keep you safe as you retreat. I love Izami on Gym Bedroom.
Wow, you just had to fit that in there at the end.
I think it's great. I think both teams have really shown how good Izami is on this bomb site for...
Oh no, did Fultz throw the magnet and it immediately got blown up by the Rotero drone? I think it just not ideal timing. The playmaking potential of Izami is huge. Yes, she might be a very strong operator, but there's no doubting what she brings in terms of site reconstruction and the ability to extend off the site too, as most teams don't actually like using her in the actual bomb site. So if you can extend your position and create a much larger bomb site, obstacles that the attackers need to overcome, then you're in great shape, just as TSM is. They get the first pick on the Hot and Cold. 30 seconds remaining. TSM were not able to seal the deal in regulation. Spacestation stopped them with Hot and Cold's miraculous clutch in the previous round. So now TSM, with the numbers advantage, need to pinpoint the remaining players from Space Station. And there's one to fall. Sky's down for the count. First player for TSM to hit the mat is Merc as the diffuser gets planted by Chala. Bosco, with a Nitro Cell in hand, can stop this at the last second, but he misses out. Chala off the defuse, back on he goes, and there's nothing Bosco can do. They'll bring the fight to him as Geo drops, but Bolo's there for insurance on the stairs, and TSM go back to match point.
Really nice take, all flooding into the bomb site together. Not a ton of utility to really help out with that anchor play coming through. We did see Toxic Babes, and it did force TSM to run through some of that toxic smoke, but they just did so anyways. The window play from Merc was fantastic on the south side to get a couple of kills and then vault on in, have more impact there. There was there were deployable shields and such inside the bomb site, but we didn't see anybody playing behind them. A lot of the operators that they brought, like a Warden, just didn't really find a whole lot of value in the utility that they bring. It wasn't really an attack that was focused on smokes or flashes. Really, it was more of a flood, take those gunfights, and we just didn't see SSG having the same firepower to stop TSM from flooding in there. So nicely done, despite the fact that Izami was used beautifully over in the cache side. If you can't hold down the bomb site when the push comes through, it doesn't really matter.
TSM now move to defense. If you want to go back to TSM's defensive stead, you got to go back to the first 6 rounds. TSM got blown out in rounds 1 through 3. They went to church downstairs twice, didn't work. They went to gym bedroom upstairs, didn't work. Space Station seemed like the superior of the two teams very quickly. But then TSM took a timeout and everything started to break in their favor. The next 3 rounds, they get the opening pick, and then they get rounds 4 and 5, ultimately losing Jim in heartbreaking fashion. So while this is a very attacker-favored Clubhouse, and that holds true with what we saw in the very first round of OT where TSM took the attacking round, there's still some promising signs for both of these teams on defense. Not all hope is lost. The only concern I have is that TSM are 1 and 2 on this bomb site. We're going to need to see more of round number 5, which TSM won on Church. Then we're going to see out of rounds 1 and 3 if TSM want to lock this up in 2 rounds of OT.
And the 1 round TSM won, it was a really heavy roam strat, and then SSG, they kind of hit armory kind of quick, and TSM won it in a retake. So it wasn't even like a dominant winning it early. They had to come back into the bomb site, retake control of the site. They've once again brought a really heavy roam combo, and the first kill goes to Merc running on that Oryx. There's no better roaming operator than Oryx, or at least no operator that is so committed to the roam as Oryx is. And he finds finds hot and cold. The sledge going down on this bomb site, especially when there's no buck in play, is huge.
Really, really is. Hot and cold was also an integral part of Spacestation's executes onto that church bomb site, because not only do you need Sledge to tear open the floor, but Houghton could then sit in kitchen and patrol those openings.
No more nades as well, as everybody else falls off. Even if Rampier Faults had brought nades, they're both dead now thanks to Gio and Shala.
They're in on the action. Space Station have watched as they stormed back in that final round again. Hot and Cold's clutch was phenomenal, but it looks like all the good luck has run out. Bosco and Skies as the two hard breachers, the support-oriented players, and look at Merc. Oh, no! What an end that is. They're both on drones, and Merc is completely invisible. TSM seal the deal in overtime, 8-6. They don't get all 3 points, but ultimately they still get the victory, and sometimes they matter.
And TSM will get more value out of those 2 points than Space Station would have anyways, because TSM are a bit higher up in the standings. Parker, you can explain to me, or maybe the desk can, who actually is ahead of, or where their actual placement is currently in the leaderboard. But with those 2 points, their hopes definitely stay alive. Their odds going to be decent enough as they head into their final 2 playdays. TSM looking very good and feeling good too.
Well, for TSM, a big win. I mean, again, going to overtime is not the result that either of these teams wanted. You're at a point now with the standings being the way they are. You got to pick up these points in regulation. That's just how it works. Space Station still get a point to their names, so they will at least get out of the position that they're in. But they can't be happy with that result at all. And again, it looks like it's going to be another major that Space Station just are not able to get it done and be a part of.
It's unfortunate for Space Station because they've been at the top for so long, right? They were always North America's top team. They won the 6th Invitational at one point. So for them to miss back-to-back majors would be a big hit to them. You gotta wonder, is it time to bring in some new bloods? Not questions for me to answer.
Absolutely not. That's for the team to decide, because we don't know what's going on behind the scenes at all. All we can do is speculate. And for Space Station, I think it's safe to say that this has been a disappointing stage for them. It's been a disappointing year for them as well, and they've got some things to figure out. They're not completely out of the running yet, but the likelihood of them making it is not great. So that's it for our 5 matches. We got the desk to send us off, but before we get there, a short break. We'll come back in just a moment.
Don't give up on me, yeah. Don't give up on me, yeah.
Rainbow Six North American League analyst desk. That's right, back Doa, Jacob, Tommy here with you. And over in Vegas is Achieved from Team TSM. That's right, so Achieved, you got the win today. It was, what? It's Achieved. I don't know, don't mess me up.
I didn't say anything.
Everything's fine. You got the win, 8-6 over your opponents, over SSG. Obviously, it wasn't the win you wanted, but you got it done in the end. Like, what are the comms like when it comes down to those overtime scenarios? Like, who's doing most of the talking? How are you organizing things there?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really think the comms change too much between like overtime and like, just the regular rounds, I guess. So, I mean, it's pretty much the same as usual. Merc's calling. I'm helping out a lot with adaptations and stuff like that. Charlie helps call the execute, so does Gio. I mean, pretty much, everyone's just doing the usual thing. If they see opportunities, calling out, just looking at these avenues that we can take, and basically just the same as usual.
All right.
How's it going, Matt? I mean, I hope you remember me.
Hello, Tommy.
How's it been?
Good to see you.
How's it been?
I hope you remember me.
Good.
So Master Kim's tonight, huh? Like there
Kim,
there you
sounds
go. So obviously, like I was really hoping for you to do good today, and you did, especially on attack. You were going crazy on Sledge. Even though I taught you how to nade. Let's just be honest. You're an amazing Sledge player, but I taught you how to nade. Why are you laughing, Jacob? Yeah, your feet around too. I will say, what did you do in order for yourself to prepare for this and give yourself a leap back into attack, especially against SSG and having a tough couple play days?
Yeah, so obviously I haven't had the best season so far. So I mean, whenever you're not having a good season, I know I can do good and stuff like that. I just gotta get out there and play comfortable, I think, and not like quote unquote play my spot. Which I think is like a hard thing for like me personally in like the NAL, is sometimes I just get autopiloted and I don't, like run around and find these openings and picks like that and move around like freely, because it is a best of one, and you don't really want to lose a round because it's just a best of one and every round counts. Every round means a lot. But other than that, I mean, I just told myself, play my game. Clubhouse we're very confident on. Obviously, SSG. I mean, Clubhouse is like SSG's map, but we're very confident on it. And
how many bowls of
I just
oatmeal
like switching up. I'm sorry.
How many bowls of oatmeal did you eat today?
Both of them. I actually didn't have anything. I had a Jimmy John sandwich. That's about it.
Hey.
Oh, there you go. Shout out.
So I remember back when there was a big concern over TSM and not being able to take these best of ones, maybe not at the same level of seriousness, but definitely not wanting to take a lot of those risks. Because the NAL has been so close and because you guys are just cracking back into the top four, just barely with this win, does that make you want to try and go like full force into these best of ones as if you've got nothing to lose? Does it spark more of that kind of play style?
I mean, obviously, like, best of ones rounds mean a lot, but I don't really think that, like, we necessarily don't try as much. I think that we just maybe put a little bit too much pressure on ourselves, honestly, especially, like, me. I can only really talk about myself. I can't talk about, like, what other players experience. But, after coming off of an SI win and coming into the NAL, and it's just a completely different atmosphere and stuff, like, just play BO1s and stuff. Not to make any excuses or anything, but BO1s are... they can go any way. It just depends on, I guess, just a few rounds. You know what I mean? It just depends on whose day it is. But other than that, we still give it our all in BO1s, and we still get out there. We try to find picks and stuff. Just, I think maybe we don't play as free flow in best of ones as like we would when we go to like an international land. That's all.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit more punishing. We'll let you go in a second, but got one last question for you. You've got Parabellum and Beast Coast for your last two maps of the stage. Now, what is it going to take from TSM to get those wins and to take those strides towards hopefully a major appearance?
Yeah, so obviously our game tomorrow is like really important against PB and even the following game against Beast Coast. But tomorrow game is obviously really important, just like today's game was super important to us. But I mean, we're just going to come out, we're going to play our game, we're going to give it all we got, and just give it our all.
All right, there you go. Well, getting the win today, that's one step in the right direction. Thanks again for taking the time to sit down and talk with us a little bit, and good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right, so Achieved from TSM. They got it done in overtime. Again, like we were talking about, like Achieved was talking about, not the win they wanted, but hey, a win is a win, right?
Yep. 2 points is still 2 points, and you're still ahead of many other teams, so.
when it's this tight, dude, when it's this tight, you need literally every point possible.
It might make the difference in the end, but you know,
I don't want this to come down to a situation for any of these teams where they realize that if we had gotten just the one more point, or in TSM's case, the one more round, because this is still round differential based, for them to suddenly realize, wait, we're in 5th place, we didn't make the major, and it's because Hot and Cold clutched a 1v2 against you guys, and now you're not going to the next major. That would suck.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, though, if you're a pro gamer too, you got to look at it like, and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong on this one, Tommy, but you got to look at it like, if you don't make the major, it doesn't matter if it's by 1 round or 100 rounds, right?
Yeah.
It's like you just got to do the work to get yourself there in the end, you know?
Vin Diesel said, inch or a mile. There you go.
There you go.
Are you quoting Vin Diesel?
He lives his life 1/4 mile at a time.
On my debt,
Doesn't matter if you win by an inch or by a mile, man.
It doesn't matter if you're too
crossed
fast
the
or too
finish line
furious.
first. Congratulations, but there's still a chance other people might do it ahead of you. Something to look at on the scoreboard, by the way. I just did a cursory check at my timeline and saw Rampy immediately tweet saying that this stage has kind of been like an embarrassment, and he's shouldering a lot of the responsibility for something like this. It's very rare to see somebody of that performance caliber, somebody who we have lauded as being one of the best players in the world, 6th Invitational 2020 MVP, and he's this down bad. And I don't mean that in the weird sense. I mean that on himself. He feels like he's got a lot of Space Station's recent failures have been on him. I don't necessarily think it's all on one guy, but I look at this stat sheet and I have to wonder what the next step is for this team. If they're not going to the major, which they're not even confirmed to be out for, this isn't the SSG that we know.
Yeah, I mean, you got to realize for a lot of players like Rampy and the OG members of like TSM or even SSG, like it takes them a while for them to like reassess and or like fit into this new like generation of Siege players. You got players that have never touched Pro League and they come from CL and they're fragging out, or not even CL, like Gunner. He skipped CL and he came through. Newers, same thing. He played a couple seasons of SCS and came through.
Well, I think it's just more evidence of just how competitive the region is at large right now. You've got a lot of new blood coming up. You've got other existing teams playing better. It's a struggle if you're a former dominant team to stick with it. But I mean, that's fun. That's what we like to see, right? So what else we like to see are cool replays, specific rounds in general. Round number 5 is one we're going to look at from this one. And this one was basically Space Station getting the plant, but then struggling a little bit post.
Yeah, as we could see soon here, you see that Skies dropped the hatch. They're planting the bomb. Skies is focused on the guy Dirt, but Han Cold actually pushing him at the same time, and it's a 4v4. So I feel like they have 2 players focused on Dirt, and then Han Cold dies to achieve, and then, from there,
Nah, it spirals out of control from this point. You're just like, wait a second, how do we manage to get a post plant? And but it's a 2v4, and then suddenly TSM swarm back. It's like, you can be tunnel visioned on what you focus on when you're in a post plant moment like that, but you gotta watch out for the retake, which I do feel like SSG, even if it's not necessarily their intent, they're good when it comes to these retakes.
Yeah.
As soon as bombs have gone down, or if they let somebody get into their zone, if they plant, they obtain map control, they usually plan on getting that back. It doesn't always work, but you always have to watch for it, and this time it didn't really seem like it did.
Yeah.
Obviously hindsight, but it feels like if Han Cold didn't try to go for the kill and just wait for the guy to come back Dirt and then just told his team, hey, stay alive, I'm going to come down main. Could have been a different result. But like I said, I don't know. We're not in there listening to the comms. We don't know what's happening. But it feels like he was taking a one-on-one fight, close range, in Dirt to a smoke, and he lost it.
The best part about this game was it did feel like everyone at SSG was communicating.
Yes.
In various other games, you can kind of tell when someone's not relaying a callback or giving a position or giving a full call on where you died or things like that. This team, even if they're down mentally, doesn't feel like they're doing an inadequate job of relaying what's happening and how they need to respond to it. But it's just that method of response feels like it's not where it needs to be, considering what we know that these guys are capable of. It's just a matter of getting back on I guess, I don't know, the strategy horse, finding a way to improve from that perspective. I wish there was one easy fix for this Space Station team, but it doesn't seem as though there is.
Hopefully they do find a fix soon.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, close game. Space Station, one of the best team performances we saw to them, but TSM ultimately taking it in the end. But